All right, and hello, gentle viewers. I believe, what is this? Is this episode 20 already? 19? 18?
No, I think we are on 20.
20, my goodness. A scary number
Maybe.
for the scariest room in the entire maze.
Yeah.
We are covering this Halloween Eve through our tireless work ethic to bring you only the spookiest month of Mazecast imaginable. So here we are with room number 31. The Dead Skeleton Bone Tree room. And this is me, Andrew Beals, in my Sweeney Todd costume, which I thought was pretty good. And we got Greg in his, we got Greg. Yeah, we have Greg in his very convincing costume of Vincent. So,
If we wanted to pull that one off, I needed to come out singing.
that's true.
I could have started. I was looking through. Oh, Jesus. I promised I wasn't going to talk a whole bunch. And I'm not going to talk a whole bunch. But I haven't been working on Maze stuff lately because I've been having back problems that have been causing me a lot of inconvenience. So I opened up my notebook of my Maze notes that I usually take before these podcasts. And I see I didn't write anything about Room 31. I just wrote a bunch of parody song lyrics for the song Maybe I'm Amazed. To be about the book Maze. So I guess maybe I should have started out by singing that. Next Halloween when I'm pretending to be Greg.
Perfect.
Pretending to be me.
Perfect. So I did put some notes together just to recap some things that have already been tossed around in this room. If you want me to just go ahead and start with those.
Yeah.
Cool. So let's see. Looking at it from the Abyss point of view, I believe, this is a 2-star room. We have 2 solutions so far. And one of them concerns I don't know, you're going to want to say something about this because this is practically the only thing you've been talking about on this room. So this is not going to be Vince's top solutions. One of them concerns the pupils of the face over door 19. The theory comes pretty strongly from White Raven that face is looking toward 44, whereas the other 3 faces' eyes don't really seem to have any directionality. And and White Raven ties that in with the look very strangely dialogue, where the whole point of that is to get us to it's a play on the polygamy of the word look, where the guest says, the visitor says they look very strange, as in they appear to be very strange, but he corrects them to they look very strangely. Or maybe she corrects them, who knows? It corrects them, who even knows what the guy does, and says they look very strangely, as in they engage in the act of seeing very strangely. So that's supposed to cue us to look at the eyes of the figures and see, oh my God, the face over 19 is looking at 44. And the
problem is those pupils are not looking over at 44. They're just not. They're looking straight at you, the reader. I mean, I don't even know how to argue the point. I don't know how to even set up the argument because it's just something you'll look at. I'm just looking at it. They're not pointed over at 44. They look like they're looking directly at me. They're staring straight out at the reader. Everything else is rock solid. I mean, the strangely stuff, that's obvious. It's obvious what the guide's getting at there, as to whether strange is an adjective or an adverb. And it's clear that the face over 19 is the only one that has pupils. It's referring to that. But it's not looking over at 44, so what does it mean? I mean, we know 44 is the right answer, so we're digging for a way to connect that there, but those eyes are not looking over at 44. Is it just me?
Personally, I don't have a really strong opinion on the matter, so I'll probably just move on for now, but I wanted to give you your forum to make that full-throated cry of defiance against a reasoning, but I don't have to engage the point right now because it could go either way. I actually never thought of it as looking directly at the viewer. I wasn't totally sold on looking at 44, but I never thought of it looking directly out of the page. I find that interesting, but I can't really, I'm not in a great position to argue with you on this front or even discuss it in much of a productive way. So I'll just move on to the other known solution, which is actually, it's one of the like two solutions that I've got up there on the abyss, which is it concerns that lower left branch on the tree that appears to sort of resemble a skeletal hand and to be reaching toward door 44, which White Raven agrees is actually a legitimate signifier for 44. It's a little unusual because that bone tree just looks so very ominous and creepy that you might think that you would want to disregard what it seemed to be pointing you toward, in the same way that you perhaps want to disregard the pointers by the devils in 26 because they're devils, so they're obviously lying little shits. But point has also been raised that the tree is the only element in this room that can really see over the walls, and therefore the tree, creepy as it looks, is the only thing that can sort of see, which way is the correct way to go. Where the whole, it's brought up in the text that the guests themselves can't do that. So therefore, as creepy as it might seem, you perhaps want to heed its advice and go toward 44. So I just thought that was a little simple solution. I didn't think that White Raven would actually accept that, but are there any thoughts on that, or should I just move on?
I don't know. I'm okay on that. I mean, there are other branches that kind of point towards 21. They don't come as close as the branch that goes to 44. I do like the way it ties into the text. The text makes a point of saying that the brick wall's too high to see over.
Yeah.
And then the very next sentence mentions how the dead tree lifts its branches up to the sky, which is suggestive about how it's higher than the wall. It can see over the wall to what's behind. And
I'm gonna have to correct you very briefly. It doesn't say the dead tree lifted its bone white branches. It says a dead tree lifted its bone white branches. And I have to say that because I know Alex is going to be sitting out there chewing on his fingers, hoping that I'll say that. So, but I'll let you go on. I'll come back to some big ideas that Alex has in this room. I'll save that for the end.
Okay. All right. So there's a dead tree.
Yes, a dead.
And then everything else I said still applies.
Yes, all of this still applies.
And it does sort of give you a reason to prefer the pointing of the tree over, say, the pointing of the rake, because you've got a rake on the ground that's clearly pointing at 19, which if you just look at the picture, there's no particular reason why the tree pointing at 44 is any better than the rake pointing at 19.
That's very true.
If you put it together with the text, there's something there.
Yeah, let me go to that. I think I can just segue right over there. Yeah. So in terms of things that haven't been confirmed as solutions yet, one of the things that has been mentioned is that both Greg and Mr. Benfield, who actually they've been on the same wavelength historically on this room quite a lot, which is surprising, but sort of fun to see. They both pointed out. They both were looking for sort of an odd one. I think this was before I pointed out the arm, the tree skeletal arm. They both saw sort of an odd one in solution where, they mentioned the broom. I think it's a broom. Can we call it a broom? The one that's a broom? Yeah, I think it's a broom, and the other one is a rake.
Okay.
But whatever the implement is that's lying on the ground, they see that pointing toward 19. They see maybe a little piece of the bone branch that fell out for the tree by the baskets. They see one that's sort of pointing dead on toward 21. And so they thought, odd one in. So we should pick 44, the one that isn't indicated. That was before, obviously that was before I pointed my thing out, but
plus, I mean,
basically it's just a way that people have tried to engage with that thing.
There's a little broken stick.
Which broken stick? Can you talk? Because I see that you're indicating something, but it's not going to go to you. Or are you talking? Oh shit, is he talking? Are we having this spooky ghost interference? Oh no. Vince, this is terrible. Trying to message him. Sorry for this brief interruption. Let's see. Vince. I ain't getting audio from you. If you are talking, I can't hear it. Oh, is he gone? He's gone. Is he gone? This is a true Halloween nightmare. Oh, he's back.
Oh, am I back?
Oh, hey. Hi. I wasn't here for a while. You were
Well,
talking about. I wasn't getting any audio. I don't know if the audio will be in the video or not.
we're having some spooktacular technical difficulties.
Oh, yes.
There's nothing spookier than when your cell phone won't work right. Okay. Go ahead with whatever you were saying.
Sure. Well, I'm getting a little bit of echo on me now. But
Oh, echo. That's even spookier. Okay, hold on.
Spookiest thing of all. Am I talking twice? Oh yeah. The other thing. So, well, okay. So, related to the theories of related to the odd one in attempts, there was also this. Both Mr. Gentile and myself suggested that there might be kind of, when you look to the left of the picture and you look to the ground on the left, you see those two other little bone branch bits that are maybe kind of forming sort of a half-assed path toward door 44. And I pointed this out quite a while ago. I pointed this out after the, what was it, room 17? Yes, after the room 17 M4 delight, I pointed that out in the hopes that that might get some traction with White Raven after White Raven's fun family circus dash line. So I thought that would maybe win some points, but no. So I mean, once again, we don't have to. I tend to be the one, as I've said before, I think I tend to be the one who's the most abyss-centric in his thinking. We don't have to hew to this, but it doesn't seem that White Raven thinks there's anything significant either in the formation down there or the formation of the other things pointing to the other doors, or maybe we just haven't put them together in the right combination yet. But gosh, that broom or whatever it is that's pointing toward 19 really is so obviously indicating it that it is tough to know what to do with that.
Yeah. And yeah, and I'm sure you're going to get to it, but then it also so clearly is crossing through that opening in the tree. I mean, the placement of that broom or rake is so deliberate, but we really don't have a good explanation for that.
Yeah. I didn't put anything about the holes. Let's do some freestyle jamming about the holes toward the end because I didn't have anything that, but people have talked about that a little bit. So let me just breeze through another couple of topics. One that people have tried to do other things with the faces. Let's see. Greg suggested that there are 4, with each face having 2 eyes, there are 4 eyes in total on each of the 2 walls. Therefore, that gives you 4 and 4. Greg has also said, there are 4 tufts of hair on each. Is that 4? That's 4. 4 tufts of hair on each head. So each of those walls is itself a 4-4. And no, this is just spitballing, but I like to bring up some of the spitballing stuff because sometimes there might be a grain of an idea in there that needs to be elaborated on. And let me just say a little bit more about the faces while I'm there. We have a couple of recent ideas from Thale Kreider concerning the faces, and I'm going to save the one of his that I liked the most for the last because it's not related to the faces, but here are the 2 of his that do concern the faces. One of them is his idea that when the visitor says, "These doors look very strange," Thale Kreider suggests you could substitute strange for odd, a closely synonymous word, and since the guide corrects them and denies their use of the word strange, therefore you should avoid both of the 2 odd-numbered rooms, 19 and 21, and should go for 44. I think it's a little bit of a stretch to just pull out a synonym like that, but it's there. I mean, it's one of his suggestions, and another one of his suggestions is that the guide corrects them, and therefore they are not right, and therefore you should not pick the door that's on the right. Again, it's a bit of a stretch to go from correct to not right. It's a bit of a synonym pull, but I figured that I should give it a mention.
It's another one of those clues where even if that's what it meant, it doesn't tell you which way to go, because you could just as easily say, well, he set them right. They were wrong and he had to set them right. So they should go right, as saying, well, they were wrong and he had to make them right, so we should not go right. Even if we substitute correct for right, getting from that to saying that therefore we should go left is pretty arbitrary. That really doesn't give us any indication which way we should be going.
You could draw a right out of there just as readily as you could draw a not right. I agree.
Yeah.
Which of course would make it an even more no. It would make it an anti-clue, I guess. So let's see. I got some of that stuff. Oh yeah. Yes. So segueing toward his other suggestion, but an older idea that has been brought up by quite a few people, Greg and Mr. Gentile, and the sometime contributor Irene have also mentioned this. They all point out, and it seems pretty straightforward to me. It hasn't been recognized by Raven, but I think it's hard not to see the sense in this, is that they say pushing open, we managed to push open one of the heavy doors to make our way to. We shivered in the window, we managed to push one open, therefore don't take door 21, the one that's already open. The implication is you have to be picking one of the ones that's closed in order for that pushing open text to make sense. And you could see something there. It's sort of related to stuff in the spooky fireplace room. Was that 18, 19? It was the last one we did, I already forgot. 18. With the, I know there's sort of exit lines like that. So that seems to be a pretty straightforward clue to push you away from 21. And
I think that's rock solid. I don't have any doubts about that. That's the exact same thing you see in room 42, the room with the bear, where the departing line is opening one of the doors we made our way to, and that's how you eliminate the door to room 30 because it's already open. Yeah, I have no doubts about that the door to 21 already being open eliminates that as an option.
That feels pretty good. And the other related topic is Thale Kreider's third suggestion, which also concerns the heavy doors. Now this is one of his word substitutions that I find to be the most agreeable. He took the word heavy and turned that into not light. The reason why I find that so agreeable is that really, even more than synonyms like correct and right, or what was the other one? Strange and odd, which sort of vaguely go hand in hand. The words heavy and light clearly go hand in hand. You clearly think of them as being the elemental opposites, the same as tall and short, or big and little, and that kind of thing. So that seems to me to be the fairest of the verbal substitutions that he makes. But his punchline for that was that we should pick the door that is the lightest one. We should pick the light door, which is 44, the one that is the best illuminated. And the question that I raised to him, and he hasn't responded on the website to this question, is how would we decide from here that we should be picking the lightest one instead of one of the darker ones? Again, it's sort of similar to that not right thing. How do you pull that negation out of sort of thin air? Why would you, even if you could see a heavy light connection, why would you not just think, oh, they pushed open one of the heavy doors, they pushed open one of the not light doors, therefore they should go through 19 or 21. And so he hasn't responded to that, but I think that that's the most interesting and the most compelling of the three ideas that he tossed out right in a row there.
I certainly think it's an important observation that the door to 44 is lighter than the other doors. And what's funny is that's something we keep coming across over and over. The correct door is better illuminated than the others. And yet we still seem to miss it over and over again when it's true as well. I mean, once it's pointed out, it's easy to see 44 does stick out, being much lighter than the others.
Yeah.
But you're right. I mean, when it says they push open one of the heavy doors, you could go either way with that.
Yeah.
Whether that means that they pushed open the lightest of the doors because the others were too heavy or something like that, or whether it means we should be looking for a heavy, aka, or not light door. Yeah, it doesn't really settle the issue for us.
Yeah,
But it is interesting, and there's certainly something to the fact that they make a point of saying the doors are heavy.
I agree. I agree. So that's what people have been trying to do with that. And so those are some of the bigger topics. So now I'll just throw out um, a couple of smaller miscellaneous observations, and then I'll get into Alex's big solution idea, which he wanted to pitch himself, and he's sorry that he couldn't make it. I really pushed for it to be tonight because I really wanted it to be the last night of October. So apologies, Alex. I'm going to have to present this, and this is going to have to be shot down by Vince, and I'm going to be the messenger instead of you. But let me just get a couple more of the other little things out there first. Dave Gentile has the interesting idea. He does a lot of stuff with like individual words and letters and things, as does Thale Kreider, and we often tend to just brush them aside. But one of his that I thought was pretty cool was just the idea. He took the word "dead," which appears twice in the text, and I think he fairly made the point that it's pretty strongly just thematically suggested by the image. The word "dead" is stressed pretty heavily here, and he saw that as he took the alphanumeric value, D being 4. He saw each of those Ds as being bookended by 4s, and so stressing the 4, he thought that was a clue to 44. I wouldn't bet money on it, but I think it's interesting, and I thought I should throw it out there. Another one, the final one that I wanted to bring up that both Greg and Mr. Gentile actually suggested, which is another just interesting observation, not really a riddle solution. They notice parallels with Room 2. They both seem to think it's sort of that Room 31 is kind of a dark echo of Room 2, which is very interesting. There are similarities include the brooms in both rooms. That is, if you take that horizontal infinity of broom, which I do, there are brooms. There is sort of scattered detritus around the ground, and both of the texts mention the word boards. And so Mr. Gentile has tried to do more with this, which he kind of loses me there. I don't think Greg wanted to do anything more with it. I think he just wanted to throw it out there. But I find it interesting. I like finding synergy between rooms, and I do feel that 31 and 2 have a perhaps deliberate, even if it's not for any riddle-related reason, perhaps deliberate synergy between those two rooms. And then the final thing that I wanted to throw out, which I love, this is another one of Mr. Gentile's little observations. I love this one. It's so cool. I wish it were right. I don't think there's any compelling reason to think that it's right, but it's awesome. He took the bone tree as being potentially a reference to Dante's Inferno, in which Dante visits the forest of the suicides, where every tree is actually an entombed soul which committed suicide in life. And I guess there are like harpies on the branches that are just like pecking at them and tearing off the branches and snapping them and so forth. It's awesome. And Dante's Inferno is exactly the kind of thing that you might reasonably expect to see referenced in this book. And so I don't think there's any compelling reason to think that that's there, but I love it. And I just really wanted to mention it because it would be so cool if that were a deliberate Dante's Inferno reference.
I remember that was something someone threw out back on the old John Bailey site, and yeah, they didn't tie it into any kind of solution. I've never heard it tied into any kind of solution, but yeah, it's reminded other people too of the forest of suicides.
Yeah, really, it's such a distinct image. It's very imaginative. So I could pull out Alex's solution. I got it right here. I don't know if there's anything more that you want to say about the room first. I don't know if you wanted to respond to any of the other points that I made or just other observations.
I don't think so. Let's do Alex's and then just go through the text.
All right, cool. So Alex's solution. All right, let me see if I can set the scene appropriately. Yes, so a sudden gust of wind made the branches clatter against each other. So we're shivering in the wind. There's the idea of cold here. This is a very cold room. People are cold. So, and that was what kind of got Alex thinking in a certain direction. So he looks in the text and he finds this curious little, perhaps, equation buried in the text. And this is why I wanted to be clear on one of your word choices, because he sees the word string 2 high 2 C over A. And he takes that as actually a mathematical expression. He takes the 2 high 2 as being 2 Let me see if I can draw this in the air. We got a 2. Is that right? Yeah. We got a 2. And then we have a high 2, which is the exponent 2. So it's a 2 raised to the power of 2. Therefore, it's 4. And then we have a C. Let's see. Okay. We have a C, the letter C, over, fraction-wise, the letter A. We have to C over A, dead tree. So C over A, alphanumerically, that's 3 over 1. So it is 3. Okay, I got that. So we have a 4, we have a 3, and we add them together, and that's a 7. Now, what could 7 possibly have to do with this room? You might be wondering, well, if you see the little holes over the doorways, you see how there are those little circular cylindrical doodads at the very top of each of the 4 door frames with a little hole.
Yeah.
Now Alex sees those as degrees. He sees them as the icon for degrees. So in this very, oh yeah, if you wouldn't mind, thank you. Yeah, that's coming through great. So he sees that as the degree symbol. So in this very cold room, he says that perhaps we're meant to understand that it is 7 degrees Celsius, which would convert to 44 degrees Fahrenheit. So 44, boom.
Are you fucking kidding me? God damn it.
I believe I did that justice. If I missed a point, Alex, forgive me, but I'm pretty sure that's the solution. I like it. I think it's cool. I think it's fun. I think it's a whole lot of
It is
fun.
not cool. That is absolutely ridiculous.
No, it's awesome, okay? I like it. I like the 2, high 2, that being 2 squared. I like the C over A. I like all of it, okay? I think it's great.
Oh, well, it's okay. It's fun to do stuff like that, but I don't think even he's seriously going to suggest that Manson implanted that in there.
The one,
Maybe he is.
the one question that I had is when I heard that as well. I mean, the one attempt to critique it at a serious level was I thought it was interesting that you have 2 high to C over A is right at the beginning of that line there in the formatting of the text, which could be cool, but neither he nor I really thinks that was probably a deliberate touch by Manson, because he probably didn't have control over the format of the text and where the exact line breaks would be. I think that if he did have control over that, we would probably see a lot more puzzles that would play with that as an element. And so Alex admits that it's probably just too nice of a coincidence that those 6 words all come right at the beginning of the line like that. But I still think it's cool. So
Okay, well, I'm not going to fight with anyone about being cool, but
good.
I mean, I guess
Good.
one major problem I've got, well, 2 high 2 being 2 to the 2nd power, I guess, is kind of a funny stretch. C over A, okay. But to implant that sort of equation in there like that, but there's nothing in there indicating that you should be adding those 2 numbers.
No, I agree. That is a bit of a hole.
I mean, that's kind of like that's kind of like Thale Kreider's stuff with his counting the double letters in the text and then just doing whatever math with them with whatever numbers he can find to come up with the door solution.
Agreed. That is sort of the weak point. Well, yes. All right. That is the weak point of the solution. The fact that the plus comes out of nowhere. The fact that the addition comes out of nowhere. That is the one hole in this otherwise airtight. Well done. Well done. I applaud you.
But he's thinking, he's doing stuff. He did more than I did these last couple of weeks. All I've been doing is lying around and moaning in pain. Okay. You want to go line by line through the text?
Yeah. Well, do you want to? Don't we like do all the image stuff first and then the text? Or do you care? Because we could.
Yeah, we can do that.
We could talk about the holes in the tree, which we haven't. We mentioned that earlier. I said that we might come back to that. Do you have anything to say about the holes?
Yeah, the holes in the tree. It's been mentioned by a lot of people, and I certainly see it independently too. To me, they look kind of like eyes
Yeah.
on a sideways mask running up the tree.
Yeah.
And
Especially with the ridge on the right side, it invites the idea of that being like the nose ridge.
mhm,
So you want to,
yeah,
I think you want to see it that way and not flip it the other way.
and that stick going through the bottom one certainly makes it look like a pupil, kind of like a cat's eye.
It definitely does. The problem then becomes though on that reading, how do you deal with the fact that there is no obvious pupil in the other eye?
I don't know. I don't know what good it does as if it is a cat's eye.
Well, okay, all right. Shouldn't be as
It's yeah, I mean it's totally baffling to me. There's interesting stuff going on in here, but I just don't have anything to do with it. And those branches, there's so much going on up there. It just seems like there has to be something hidden in there, but I can't find any.
So I remember you have mentioned another one of your ideas on this page was that you did mention you were trying to find letters up there, which attempts to find letters in the maze seem to sometimes backfire on us spectacularly. And I really am not. I agree with you that you could find maybe a scattered E or Y or something, but gosh, you really want to be able to spell something and it just doesn't really come together.
Yeah. Yeah, at least I haven't had any success in doing it. But there's some strange branches in there too that don't even seem to fit with the other ones. Let me see if I can get this. Do you see there's this one that like starts here and curves
Yeah.
down like this? It's a real thin one in the back that comes up and curves down, which is just a little strange because none of the other ones curve downward like that. It's pretty much an upward slope for all the other branches. They just seem to be going up and out. And then all of a sudden in the back, there's that one that curves down.
Agreed.
But, what does that do? I don't know.
It's the entrance to a cemetery or something, some kind of cast iron arch that leads you into the land of the dead. That's my entirely serious take.
We've got either the broom and the rake or two different styles of rake. It may be a broom. I never thought of it being anything other than a rake, but that might explain why they're depicted differently.
Yeah.
The rake has a pile of leaves gathered by it. Tree has leaves and some dead branches at the bottom of it. Two baskets.
Yeah, people have,
One full of leaves.
I don't think anybody has tried to put forth a serious, like, coherent solution that involved the baskets in any way. They're real ciphers right now. I don't know if they're just purely there for decoration or whether there's something big there that we haven't figured out yet.
I mean, it seems like there's got to be something. I mean, between these two doors, you've got the rake leaning on the wall with leaves at the bottom. Between these two doors, you've got the basket leaning empty. You've got, before this door, you've got the full basket of leaves. You've got the broom pointing here. You have a pile of leaves here. It certainly seems like these leaves are telling us something, and the implements used to collect the leaves are telling us something, but I don't know what. I got nothing good to say.
Well, fair enough then. Let's move on to the text. You want to read the text for us?
Yeah, I'll go line by line through there. So we've got a melancholy little courtyard surrounded by a brick wall too high to see over. And we've talked about that too high to see over business, about why that might give special importance to where the tree is pointing, because the tree can see over.
Yeah.
Courtyard kind of emphasizes that we're outside, for whatever that's worth. We still don't really know why there are all these references in the maze to the possibility of rain, of where they go it might be raining and stuff like that. But there are 4 connected rooms here, 21, 31, 19, and 44, that all seem to be outside.
Mm-hmm.
And seem to be in their own special little grouping in the maze. I don't know. Do you see anything else in there?
Let me just toss this in there because I really should have mentioned up front, just for just for the sake of completion, the reason why this room is on the loop and the reason why we know that 44 is the correct door is because 44 will get us further along the sort of outer track of the loop that will eventually cart us back to room 1. Basically, 21 would be a step backwards because it takes us closer to room 1 in theory. The connection there is not a two-way, so you can't actually go back to 1. And then 19 just pushes us closer to the trap and farther off into this little off branch of the loop. So yeah, so as you say, yeah, the 4 of them, 21 and 44, which are on the right sort of loop track, and then 31 and 19, which sort of push outward, they form this sort of outdoor congregation of outdoor rooms, which sort of place the loop on the ground floor for most people who try to interpret it as being a 3-tiered house. So yeah, I should have just said that up front. That's why I just wanted to shove that in now, but we can go on with the text if you like.
Okay. And then a dead tree lifted its bone-white branches to a sky filling with gray clouds. So that, together with the previous line, that's where it's kind of pointing out that the tree is able to extends above the wall that we can't see over. But it seems like there's a lot of other important information being put in there too. Like it clarifies that the tree is dead, describes the branches as bone white, and describes the clouds as gray. So you've got 2 color words in there.
The gray clouds, of course, threatening rain again, if you're keeping track.
Yeah.
It is remarkable how dark the sky is in this. It really, I always think it's nighttime when I look at this room. It definitely contributes to the sense of time warping in this maze that you can just jump around right from here to a room like 19 with the artist and the bright light. And
yeah,
I always think that this is like the dead of midnight.
Which do you take to be the clouds in here? Because there's the dark gray and the light gray. Which part do you think is the sky and which part do you think are the clouds?
Big question. I have always thought, and I'll stick with it now, I've always thought that the lighter gray patches are the sky and the dark gray patches are other trees.
I guess that makes sense. And actually, if it were that dark, you might not even be able to see clouds that light anyway. It's okay. We'll take it that way.
Yeah.
It's really emphasizing those clouds, which makes you want to find something in those clouds too. But nope, we haven't done that either.
Try to find shapes there.
Yeah. Okay. Now the next 2 lines, we've got these doors look very strange. They said, you should say they look very strangely. I corrected, which I suspect that's not doing anything more than drawing our attention to the eyes that are on the face on the door above 19. I think that's all they're doing. But boy, he really seems to belabor that. And then the next line is, they seem to be watching us. Which, I think buttresses my point that the eyes on 19 seem to be looking straight at us, not over at 44.
Yeah, so seem to be watching it. Yeah, exactly.
Which I don't know how I'd never put that together before, but I never really thought of that before. But I'm going to go ahead and say that means I'm right and everyone else is wrong.
All right, QED.
Yeah. A sudden gust of wind made the branches clatter against each other like old boards. And that's the connection that people have drawn to room 2, which I hadn't heard before now. That's interesting.
Yeah, I like that. It's connection. That seems pretty solid. I guess, the more I look at that thing, maybe it's not a brim after all. It does seem to have sort of seems to have sort of clawed tips that are facing upward from the ground. But between the brim and the boards, I really do, and the general waste around the floor, I do like Barry managed to join us. I like.
Hey, Barry's here.
Barry parallels. Barry poked in and then disappeared again.
Oh, he did. He left already. Well, hopefully he'll be back.
He knew this was just about. He was probably terrified by my costume. He probably missed. Oh, there we go. Hey, Barry. Yeah. Barry. Barry.
Mm.
Barry. Okay, well, we can continue with the text if you like.
So there are some dead branches on the ground as well as up there. So I take these longer white things to be not. These are the dead branches.
These are the dead branches. What? I missed the end of your.
Oh, I'm just saying. I assume that those are dead branches on the ground, not that is distinguished from the dead leaves. We've got one over here, and then a couple over here.
We seem to have.
That's all I got. Just point them out.
We seem to have two berries in the call, so we may have been launched into an evil twin horror plot, and one of them may have to kill the other one. Oh, we have three. We have three berries now. Oh goodness.
But sorry, we can still only allow one berry to survive.
All right. Well.
All right. Now this next line, this one just like jumps out at me as something that should mean something. But everything that means something seems like it's pointing to the wrong door. It says, "Dead leaves began to gather at our feet." So where do we have dead leaves gathering? We do have a bunch of dead leaves gathered here against the wall, but it's in between 1944, so that doesn't really seem to advance our cause very much. We've got dead leaves gathered in a basket here, which is, I guess, closest to, sort of in front of 21. So that's not where we want to go. We have dead leaves gathered here, right by door 21. That doesn't do us any good. And then we've got some dead leaves by the tree itself.
Right.
Which, so, I feel like there's going to be something there with dead leaves gathering at their feet, somehow indicating where they are, or where they're pointing or looking or going, but the dead leaves seem to not be us anywhere helpful.
It seems like the most intuitive interpretation would be to just, like, if you didn't know any better and you were looking at this room completely naively, you might think this is all a pointer to room 19 because it's the one that seems to be the least indicated by the dead leaves, and you would think that you would want to avoid the dead leaves just by the association.
Yeah, and it's pointed to by the rake, and it has the eyes that are mentioned in the text.
Oh, I got to see this because it's looking right at you, saying, "Hey, come through this door. It's the cool one."
Yep.
All right, so wow, so perhaps 19. Perhaps we've been wrong all along. Perhaps this has been one big Halloween sham, and 19 is actually the cool.
Maybe Thale Kreider can find a hidden door at 19 that'll take you back to 1.
Perfect, yeah. There are lots of doors. One of them definitely has to do. Yeah, there's the one right up front, and the number one. The number one is just, you can't see it because of the frame, but it's right there.
Bingo bango. Solved.
Great.
And then we've got our last line, shivering in the wind. We managed to push open one of the heavy doors and make our way to. So
where?
To yeah.
The story.
Well, hopefully, if you're doing it right, it's to 44, a courtyard. That's another courtyard. These are both referenced as courtyard. A courtyard of palms and statues. That's where we'd want to go.
Yes. That's another room.
I wonder.
Another room. Yeah, we got to cover that room. That's a really interesting one.
I think we did talk. Did we talk about it or not on here? I can't remember. I think we talked about it on an early episode. I think it was episode 2 when we tried to do 3 rooms in one night and realized that was way too much to do.
That's not happening.
Back there. I wonder how much interplay, or if there is any interplay between these outdoor rooms. We don't do a whole lot with linking rooms together, but 21, 19, 44, and 31 are all their own little group of outdoor rooms there. Maybe there is more we should be looking at. in
21
terms of things together.
Yeah, 21 is also described as a yard. If you want that, it's a yard containing shrubs trimmed in ornamental shapes.
Uh, 19 is not described that way, but that's you start out in the portico and then you walk out.
Yeah, we moved into the yard. So there's
Moved into the yard, you're right. So they all do have the word yard in there. So it does seem like they are emphasizing being outdoors. What does that do for us? I don't know.
probably nothing.
Well, it's interesting at least. I mean, it's a deliberate design element he put in there that there are these 4 connected rooms that are the 4 outdoor rooms in there. And boy, yeah, I don't know beyond that. What can we say? Because there's not a lot of stuff like that in the maze, where there are a bunch of rooms connected that have any kind of architectural similarity or something like that. I mean, the closest might be just like a couple rooms in the trap that kind of seem like they go together.
Is it your idea about the what is it, 6 and 11? Excuse me, the little hole admitting the light in the ceiling of 6 connecting to the hole of room 11.
Oh, that was Dale Kreider's idea, actually.
Really?
Which I kind of like.
It's a good one.
I don't see a lot of evidence for it, but I like the idea. But like even like rooms 10 and 37, which are so intimately connected, because we know that one's on the other side of the door from the other. Even then, there's just not much connection visually between the two. So it just seems like there's got to be something going on with these 4 rooms. Oh, well.
Yeah.
We don't got it. We don't have the goods.
Somebody's watching this out there and they're like, aha, and that's it.
Whoa, is that Barry's face?
Oh my god! Halloween miracle!
I've never seen Barry in the flesh.
Oh my god.
I can't hear what you're saying.
Not even sure if it's actually Barry or if it's an intruder who's crept into his home and murdered him. It seems to be a person wearing a mask.
Could be that too.
Yeah, it's.
I don't know. I don't know about
Oh my god!
Well, this truly is a Halloween miracle.
A true pagan miracle for the agent.
Barry, did you have any observations or anything you wanted to say about room 31?
Room 31 is very scary. And also, I found my microphone. But yeah.
Hey, look at that.
Yeah. But
did you get a chance to draw 31 this week?
no, I was gonna start right now, but I guess I could still do it eventually.
Yeah, either you could do a draw right now, or else we could just revisit it at a later date. Perhaps when we're talking about another one of these outdoorsy rooms.
Yeah.
It's probably a little late in the show to try to draw it now because I don't think we've got too much left to say.
Well,
we've gone on for as long as we can, pointing out that we don't know anything about this room.
Yeah, pretty much. Hey, well, you know what? You know who does know something about this room? Alex knows something about this room, okay? So you want to just step out?
All right, Alex, crack the code. The one thing I did say about the leaves gathering at our feet, and I don't feel good about it, but I'll mention it, is, let me reverse my camera again. You've got the leaves gathered like at the bottom of this rake, which the rake then points up at the part of the tree that's reaching for 44, which it could be one indicator pointing to another. Not to mention that, the tree itself also has the dead leaves gathering at what you could say are its feet. I don't know.
You should mention that. If you want to score some cheap Abyss points, you could mention that because when I pointed out the skeletal arm reaching for 44, White Raven said that there's also an extra part to that riddle that, or an extra related riddle that bolsters that, and I think it could just very well be, and I never thought of that, but you're quite right, the rake just pointing directly up and indicating that arm.
I think I've already said that out there
Hello?
to no avail.
Sorry, Barry, did you say something?
So you're saying that we don't need our thinking caps because Alex has already got this one down.
Alex says, yeah, you'll have to watch on YouTube, Alex. Using me as his earthly avatar, Alex delivered a true whiz-banger of a solution.
Well, I'll go ahead and put on my thinking cap anyway to see if I can think up of another solution.
Excellent.
No, I don't have anything, but it is a very pretty room.
It's actually one of my favorite rooms. This has always been one of my favorite rooms in the whole maze. It's just so, it's definitely perhaps, I think you can make a fair argument for it being the most just outright creepy and disturbing of all the rooms. And there's just something about that I love. So this is definitely near to my heart, this room.
Real quick, Barry, if you had to pick a room from here, which door would you take?
Oh, obviously 44.
Yes. You survived.
Because it's like room 22 times 2.
But then again, room 44 is also room 21 times 2 plus 2. So maybe you should go for and 9 is what plus
44. It just kind of drags you in because it just looks like there's these eyeballs that are staring at you.
Oh, tell us about that, please. I'm serious. Please give us your reading of the eyeballs.
Well, they do look like they're looking at the tree branches, and I have no idea what those little guys are underneath the. I guess they're tombs. No, they're not tombs, but
they could be.
It's like a conservatory kind of looking thing, though. It's kind of, and I think out of all the ones, the guy under 44 is the happiest.
Possible. Do you feel anything about the two faces off to the right of the picture? Do you get any sense of direction of where they're looking?
Not really, because whenever I try to draw a version of it, I pick the lowest quality picture I can find, which is usually off of that archive page, which I like a lot because you can just click and get different rooms and stuff. Seems like their copies are they look like they were scanned from a magazine, and it's got that old school 1996 BBS look to it. They just downloaded it off of a BBS and now it just went web live.
So you don't get a lot of, you don't get much in the way of direction from those eyes on the faces over to the right.
Yeah, it makes it a little easier to draw it too.
Yeah, I'm looking at the page right now, and it's hard for me to justify any direction either.
I guess I could look at the better scan of it, but let's see if I.
Just buy the book off of your friendly local Amazon.
Oh, I've got it. I've got a couple copies, but one's upstairs and the other one I don't know.
Well, there you go.
I'll probably go ahead and grab even another copy because you can never have too many copies of that book.
All right. Can you see? Whoops. Can you see the pupils on the face over door 19, Barry?
I will check the copy on the Abyss.
Well, Greg's once again. That's the second time. I'm really sorry, Vince. I've just been thinking about Greg so much because he said so much about this room on the Abyss. Vince has it on his page, so if Vince just talks about it, go to
Yeah, or if you click on me or whatever. But okay, if you can see, or I'm trying to zoom in on the face over 19. Can you see the pupils on that face? Pupils in the eyes?
Oh wait, let me look. Look.
If I get too close, I cause a shadow.
Oh yeah, there's room number 19. And the abyss has a pretty picture version of it too. So I'm gonna zoom in on that one.
Oh,
I think I may have created more of an ordeal than I did.
so we just want to know one way or the other, Barry. We just want to know what you think about those eyes over door 19.
Well, one looks darker than the other, almost like it's missing an eye.
Where do you think they're looking?
Oh, we might be looking at the maze guide, wherever he's standing.
Well, directionally, what direction do they seem to be looking at?
They all seem to be looking at the tree, except for 44, which seems to be looking.
Just the one at 19, the one with the pupils.
Oh, looking a little bit. I'm gonna say he's looking at the wastebasket next to the tree. That is a wastebasket.
The wastebasket down here?
You did it.
Room 31. A little bit to the right to the tree, there's like a basket-looking thing.
Okay.
Good. New idea. New impression. Excellent.
So I guess that settled that.
Somebody something to do with those baskets, then perhaps 19 could be the key to that after all.
Yeah. All right. I got nothing left to say about this room. I feel like we've been seriously defeated by room 31 this time.
I don't see it as an adversarial competition between us in the room. I think we didn't simply discuss them.
I think this is going to be a classic episode because we got to look at Barry for the first time.
It's true.
This is the first time any human being has ever laid eyes on Barry, actually.
All right, so I guess you guys want to call it off there then?
Yeah, I'll start singing this this Maybe I'm Amazed parody, and then you cut it off fairly quickly so people don't have to listen to me singing very much.
Excellent. Well, thank you guys for joining.
Also announce the next room too.
Yeah, well, I guess we'll probably hash that out by message and
Okay.
I'll tell you what I'd like to do. Maybe we'll discuss something else, but I'd like to do an episode about 12 and 28.
12 and 28. So, are they the deja vu rooms? Yeah.
Yeah.
That could be what we should do. But in any case, thank you for joining us on this incredibly spooky, terrifying
Maybe it's a maze that was made out of mystery at time.
month of Halloween.
And maybe it's a house made of stone and mortar. Do. Maybe it's a maze that is made like a figure eight and loop, and a key that's broken too. Maybe it's a maze that disappears past the borders. Are you come on.